All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Coder Startup. This is now episode number 28. And I might as well say it right at the beginning. If you want to get the show notes for this episode, or if you haven't already checked out our website, go to coderstartup.com/28 to get all the lowdown on what we talked about today. And that segues me into what it is we're talking about today, which is an exciting topic. This is the top 7 things that Carter and I wish we had known before we started as entrepreneurs. So this is going to be an amalgamation of all of the wisdom that we have procured. Look at all these words I'm using. The last, 3 years for me, and the last how many years for you, Carter?
I don't know. How many?
Bunch of years. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. So a lot of good knowledge that we're going to be dropping on you today. So I'm very excited for this episode. So might as well just jump right on into it. Let me just pull up my notes here. I actually have it all written out on the side of my computer right now. So where do we want to start? Do we just, I guess, want to start with the first thing that I'd written down?
Yeah. Let's just jump right into it, because I think you had we've talked about it before, and I think you have such a valuable one to kick off. Introduce it.
Here we go. So basically the first thing that came to my mind, as soon as Carter and I sort of decided to go forward with this episode, the first thing that came to my mind, and it's probably something that you guys have heard many times and you might be getting tired of hearing, but if you are getting tired of hearing it, that's a very good thing. That means my thought process is getting through to you. That means that you are inside of my brain, and that means I'm pretty sure that you're going to be a much more successful entrepreneur than I was when I first started. In any case, my first thing that came to my mind was to build an autoresponder that has a purpose. And I specifically added that point with a purpose because I had an autoresponder when I had built out my business way back when. I had a blog, I had lots of traffic coming to it, and people were signing for my email list. I was bribing them to get on, and they were joining, and they were getting these emails, and there was no purpose to it other than, hey, here's some stuff. Maybe check out this article, that article. And I think I'd sent out 4 or 5 emails, and that was it. Once those 4 or 5 emails went out over the course of about 4 or 5 weeks, the lessons or the content stopped. Mm-hmm. And it stopped because I didn't really know what else to put into it, because I didn't have a purpose. So that was probably, I don't know how many, all these entrepreneurs I've seen, they go back in history and say, this is probably how much money I lost by not doing this. And I mean, for me, I'm having my best, coming off of my best month ever as of April of 2015. I just broke 5 figures, which is great. And if I were to have, and I'm not, like I said way back in other episodes, I'm not doing anything different. I'm not selling any different products here. This is the same product I've been selling since I started my entrepreneurial journey. So that stands to reason that if I had just taken this way of selling it through an autoresponder with purpose, mm-hmm. and applied it way back when I started, I mean, I don't know how many tens of thousands, maybe at this point, would it be hundreds of thousands potentially of dollars that I left on the table by not doing this? So I kick myself now, because it's like, I was too lazy, I suppose, to really put the effort forward into creating this autoresponder with purpose. And it's my number one regret now in business. I really, now that I see how well it works, I really wish I had done it better. So we had talked about it. I'll be brief. It's all about giving away content for free and showing them what you have, showing them all your cards. And if they like it, they're probably going to sign up for it. So that's the secret sauce of the autoresponder. That's all I have to offer for you guys right now. Anyway, Carter's dying to say something right now.
Yeah. You bring up two great points I want to hit on. First off, it might be your biggest regret, but how awesome and how great it is that you found out now, not 5 years later. You know what I mean? So such awesome opportunity there. The second thing, I think you nailed it when you said purpose, because now email, even though you can generate so much business through it, it's such a valuable and easy thing for people to unsubscribe. People are so much more guarded of their email inbox than they were, even like a year ago. I read something recently, Gary Vaynerchuk, he was talking about basically how he built his whole wine distribution business up through email, and he was getting something like 80% open rates, and now he gets like 20. Yeah. And I mean, that's just crazy, but it shows you how everything has evolved. And you hit on it, where if you're delivering purpose, if you're delivering that value, people are going to open it. even though they know it's a routine email. Great example, Neil Patel. I love opening his emails. I use a tool called Unroll Me that takes away most of my emails, and I'll look through it periodically. I know it's a newsletter, I know it's a mass mailing, but I love it because he delivers so much purpose and so much value in those. So hats off to you for that.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to define what I mean by purpose, because that's probably, since it's such an important word in this lesson, and I haven't really defined it yet, that would be important to do. So for me, the purpose is, what is the end result? What is what is it that the action that you want your readers to take by essentially the end of all the emails that you send out? What is that one call to action? What is that one thing that they need to do, that you want them to do? And the whole campaign, the whole email campaign, can be built around that purpose. I call that my purpose. So for me, because I already have a bunch of products, the purpose was simple to figure out. It was the purpose is to get them to buy my products, right? But I'm not going to do it in a very salesy way, and I've already talked about how I do it, and I don't want to get into those details again. But that's my purpose. For you, it might be different. If you're just starting out, you don't have a product yet, then maybe the purpose is to drive traffic back to your blog, or maybe the purpose is to introduce them to the concept of your podcast, or what have you. It doesn't have to lead to a sale. It could just be a relationship builder, right? And then once you have the products to offer, always remember your autoresponder sequence. Don't do what I did and be lazy and just sort of forget about it and sweep it under the rug. That is where the money is. So if your goal is money and revenue, do not get lazy with your email autoresponder. So there we go. That was my words of wisdom for lesson number 1 in the top 7.
Number 1. All right. So my first lesson.
Yep. Second one for now.
Second one overall. What was the thing that I wish I knew about? And as silly as it sounds, it was templates and plugins, because I cannot tell you how much time I spent, working with a developer or designer or whatever to do things like, put up a website. And I remember coming across Theme Forest and seeing all these like beautiful websites that are responsive and everything else. And I was like, oh, they're selling these things for $60. Are you serious? Because, I was paying people $500. I paid $4,000 for a website once. A great looking website, did fantastic for a business. Got a lot of great feedback from it. From a marketing perspective, now I would run circles around it, just with the things that we talk about, like on this show. But bottom line is, there are tons of templates, tons of plugins that you can use. And I would dare to say that about 99 out of 100 problems that you're having out there, there is some built-in-a-box type solution that you can really expedite the entire process, get things up and running faster and a lot cheaper. So definitely anytime you need some sort of solution like that, look for a template, look for a plugin.
Yeah. And I mean, generally, maybe I missed it. You might have already said this, but I'm assuming you're referring directly to WordPress.
Yeah, WordPress. But I mean, it goes beyond WordPress because there's so many, like we were talking about last week, you and I, about running contests to generate leads. There's all these different contest platforms out there that it's an easy plugin, either that integrates with your website or you can run it on their servers and stuff. It's that built-in solution more than, I should say, template or plugin. Yeah,
nice. And I mean, that's I don't know if that's all you want to say about it, because this segues perfectly into the third lesson, unless you will have more that you want to cover there.
No, let's go. Yeah, let's
keep going. So this segues perfectly in the third lesson, which I think ties perfectly in, because it's my second one, which is the third one overall here, is not to reinvent the wheel. And as programmers, we hear that all the time, which is why this was such a kick in the pants for me, because it was like, oh God, I got to hang my head in shame here, because I violated the cardinal rule of programming not to reinvent the wheel. And, and I did this through when I created my the actual platform that I use to not sell my services, but where they come to learn about my programming stuff that I teach. I teach Java, and I created a whole website and a whole web application that allowed them to, register for my course and, pay for the course. And then they get an email, username, password, they can log in, and then they can go through and click on the videos and watch the videos and then take tests and all this stuff. And all the stuff that I had done here, I built myself from scratch. And it took, I don't even remember how many months of programming I probably put into it overall. But it was just a complete waste of time because there are already platforms out there, like Carter was saying, templates or services out there that are built to solve that exact problem. I was not the first one who wanted to sell a course online and who needed to have some sort of system that allowed them to sign up, and pay to get the course. So I just, slapped myself in the head for building out this custom solution. That really, it's not that great. I mean, I get complaints all the time from people saying, because all they can see is 10 videos and they need to scroll down to see more videos. It amazes me. You always think, you always have to design your system for keeping the dumbest person in mind. It's true. I get emails almost, I want to say monthly, from people saying, I can only see 10 videos. Well, you didn't scroll down. There's a scroll bar. So, I mean, anyway, I'm just complaining now, but I completely reinvented the wheel by recreating this entire platform that I completely did not need to do. And I mean, now, if you're curious, I mean, Infusionsoft is something I'm using now as an email marketing system, but they have their own built-in, platform for building out courses called Customer Hub, which is apparently very powerful. I'm looking forward to signing up for that because I don't want to do anything else in terms of my own programming. I mean, if you already have a WordPress website set up and you want to integrate it with some sort of a payment platform that's like a recurring monthly thing, you can, what was it called? Wishlist Member is a good one. There's tons actually for WordPress. Can you think of any others off the top of your head?
Specifically for
yeah, just for getting people to be able to pay money and then be signed up as a user where they can log in and get access to sort of locked material. I'm sure there's more out there.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff like Wishlist and stuff, and then you have like what is it, Social Locker, if you're trying to lock a piece of material and they have to pay with a tweet or Facebook like or something like that.
Oh, nice.
And that's we can transition into one of our next points too, because this is just kind of rolling.
Yeah, go for it.
But the next point that we were going to talk about is copying the best, because anything that you're doing, chances are someone else out there has spent hours upon hours or, whatever to really find or create a fantastic solution. And I don't know why, but nowadays my mind immediately, anytime I'm doing something, I go over to Google and I type in, if I wanted to, the contest example, drumming up leads through a contest, I typed in contest case studies or contest hacks and stuff like that, just to see what the people out there who have done it, what results they've gotten, what insight they have. There's so many people who just publish this knowledge out there that literally you can go over to YouTube and get probably what was equivalent 5 years ago to thousands upon $1,000 of consulting just in these YouTube videos. So really, anytime you have a problem, look for a way to copy the best. Someone has ran a ton of tests. Someone has spent a lot of money figuring that stuff out. And this can be, like we were talking about, just with the membership sites, like finding a solution for something like that. Or it could be more on the marketing side. Say you wanted to grow your social presence, or you wanted to repurpose your content, or you wanted to grow your B2B leads. Whatever it is, just play around on Google, play around on YouTube, look on Udemy, because there's someone out there who has figured it out, and they're going to give you some amazing insight to help you shorten that learning curve.
So essentially what you're saying is whenever you think up some sort of thing, some sort of strategy or tactic that you want to implement in your business, before you just jump into it and implement that tactic or technique or whatever, just do some Google searches to see who else has done it and pick their brain type of thing. Totally.
Like if you're looking to build a Shopify store, or our mastermind, Lucas in our mastermind talks about, how he has an Amazon store. And I'm always like, man, there's people out there who scaled these things to 7 figures. Like, just jump on it. It's just where my mind goes. It's just
And I mean, that's exactly what Lucas did. He actually set up some meetings with, one of our fellow foundation members, I believe it was CJ, and he was sort of picking her brain because she's already been there. She's already done that. And she gave him some wonderful tips and tricks around, how to enter the Amazon marketplace for selling his own stuff and doing drop shipping or something like that. Just around, looking for, if you're going to get into a certain market, look for products that have, if there's any that have more than like 300 or 500 reviews on Amazon. If there are products in there already and you're looking to introduce one that's the same, you might have a lot of difficulty because there's a bunch of reviews there already. So that's just an example of just reaching out to one person about that.
Whole list of golden nuggets. When I was having trouble with my sales funnel, what did I do?
Yeah, it's true.
What's going on, man? Like, I reached out to you because I know you've had success, and it doesn't always have to be someone you know, because literally there are education, content, courses. That is what we see constantly, and there's such good stuff out there. So just remember, anytime you're stuck on something or want to do something, you're putting up a simple landing page, you're connecting an autoresponder, go to Google, type in and see if you can find an example of someone who's done it. Copy the best.
Beauty. And then, so that there's no real segue nicely into our next one, but we'll move on to the next one, which is point number 5 now we've hit of 7. And this is a big one for me. This is a lesson that I had to learn over and over again. And I've said this before on the podcast, but again, I love to reiterate old points because I don't know if a lot of podcasts do that. And for me, I need to hear, before I take action on something or before something really sinks into my brain, I need to hear it 5 to 20,000 times before it actually, sinks in. So I'll keep saying it. For me, number 5 on this list is focus. Mm-hmm. Focus. I had a product. I had an ebook that I'd written. I had a course around programming. I had sales. I had people telling me it was fantastic. I had all these amazing signals. And although I wasn't paying all my bills with this because I was just starting, I had all this fantastic feedback and positive energy around what I was doing with respect to teaching programming. And what did I do? I turned around and built a whole different software product in a completely different market. And what happened? It failed. And then I came back to programming stuff. And then what did I do? I abandoned it again and went into another service market type thing where I built out another app, another widget. And that had some more positive, potential there. But, I shut it down because eventually I realized I'm not focusing on where the money is coming from. Mm-hmm. My whole career, the money has come from one place and one place only. And if I just focused on that more, again, I probably would have hit this success point much sooner rather than later, because I spent, I don't know, probably almost a year of my entrepreneurial career of 3 years. So almost a third of my entire existence as an entrepreneur, I spent doing other endeavors that were pulling me away from the one thing that's been my huge success. And it's tough. I mean, it's tough to know that that whatever it is you're working on is going to be a success. But that's where I refer back to the episode I did with Pat Flynn, where we talked about looking for signs and signals that that it's going well, that your product or is something, there's going to be some success in your future. So you need to look for those signs, like we had said, looking for customers emailing you, thanking you for your stuff, especially after they've paid you money. Looking for comments, positive comments on YouTube videos or on whatever it is that you're publishing from people saying, oh, this is great, I learned something, thank you so much. If someone is taking the time to thank you, that means you're onto something, right? So just look for those positive signals. Don't be detracted by people who say, I hate your stuff, you're a terrible teacher, I hope you blah, 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 blah. Those people you just can't they're going to be around, you cannot ignore them, or you can ignore them. You can't get around them. They're going to be publishing those kinds of things, and that's neither here nor there. However, if you hear more negative feedback than positive, that's a good signal that perhaps what you're doing is not going to catch on. Because usually it's, I don't know, I'm just going to pull a number out of thin air, maybe a 10-to-1 ratio where you'll get 10 good comments and 1 bad or something. Maybe it's not that good maybe it's 5-to-1. But in any case, I think if the negative outweighs the positive, then that's a bad sign. And maybe you should lose focus on what it is that you're focusing on now and shift it somewhere else. But focus for me was huge. So what do you think about that, Carter?
Focus, such a good point. It's something I've struggled with. I think we all struggle with it, the shiny object syndrome, the opportunity over here. I joke about it with my roommates. It's, I forget which one said it, but it's like digging holes in the sand and expecting to find treasure. And you go 3 inches down and you're like, nothing here. You just start digging somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can honestly say 2014, I set the intention of really making it the year of focus. And I still don't think I'm fantastic at it, but I'm a ton better than I used to be. And you've really helped me a ton with just the short-term goals, the things 12 months and or less, and really focusing in on those. And I can honestly say when you do decide to focus and really, plant your flag and say, you know what, I'm going to give it this amount of time. I'm going to, just clamp down and see what happens. That's when the magic really starts. And so it's so important. It also ties into something that I think is pretty cool. I read recently, I was taking notes while you were talking.
Yeah, I saw it.
I read recently the book, How Google Works. Great read. I'm sure all the programmers and coders out there listening would love it. But one of the things they talk about is any business should spend 80% of their time and resources focusing on their core competency, their core, what is that revenue driver? And really when you see businesses fall, when you see individuals fall, it's when they stray away from that. So it's okay to, experiment, find these new projects, find new products and service lines and stuff like that. But don't forget what is, keeping the engine running. And when you stray away from that, so when you go, more, when you spend less than 80% of the time on those other things, that's when you really start to see fault. So keep that in mind. And if there's anything you can do, just, work on that focus. Just think of it as a never ending venture. You can always get better. So
beauty. And I like that. That's a good analogy to the 80% rule or something where, you're allowed to, I don't want to say lose focus, but experiment and grow in other areas, maybe 20% of the time.
And you've got to do that. And we should talk a whole episode about that.
And I mean, that's what this endeavor is right now, essentially with Coder Startup. I do Coder Startup on Thursday afternoons, and I've hired some people on my team to make sure that I don't actually work any more than that. So Thursday afternoons are pretty much dedicated to thinking about Coder Startup. What should we talk about? Recording the episode, sending out the messages to my team to make sure that they're going to be working on, publishing or getting this content ready. And then paying them and going. So I only spend it's probably not even 20%. It's 10% of my work week is dedicated to the Coder Startup. And the other 90% is dedicated to my programming and my teaching endeavors. So that's the focus that I'm sort of keeping. So
I think too, and this is just a little side plug, I think, you are definitely one of the best that I know in terms of helping people figure out what they should be focusing on. And, we talk about it at the end of every episode, if you're interested in coaching with you, but that is something that absolutely people could benefit on, just taking you like, well, this is the tornado of stuff I'm working on, and you helping them figure that out. Because you've done it a ton for me. You've done it for people in our masterminds, I know, and all the other entrepreneur groups that we're a part of. So I think that's a huge resource that hopefully people will take advantage of.
Yeah, very nice. Cool. Thanks for that little plug. So the next, you have the next one. What's number 6 in our list of 7?
So this one's kind of out of left field, but we're talking about some of the things that really just help. And for both of us, for me, notebook, like having a notebook, pen to paper, is just absolutely huge. And I also brought up whiteboards, and Trevor was like, well, whiteboards hands down help me with goals and keeping track of things. There's, a lot of different psychology studies of why just pen to paper works so well, but I would totally recommend that you just make it a habit to bring along a small notebook, jot down any ideas that come to mind when you're walking or in your day-to-day routine, when you're doing errands, whatever it is. Also keep a notebook right by your bedside. Like there's a lot of times you wake up at night, have some amazing, insightful idea, and then you're like, I'll write it down tomorrow, and you forget. So jot that down at night. But literally, I bring a notebook with me everywhere. I was just down in Mexico, and I was on vacation with my girlfriend, and we were going snorkeling, and we were in the van, and I had my notebook out, and I was just, looking at the scenery, and I was jotting ideas down. My mind was flowing. This lady next to me, she's like, "You're taking notes?" Like, you could tell for whatever reason she was mad at the world. And I was like, "Oh no, just jotting ideas." She's like, "That sounds like work to me." And I was like, "Well, it's not. It's fun." And it was just funny because you could tell, like, and we talked a little bit more, and she was talking about how she hated her job. She was just, I felt bad. She was really in a negative state. And, but I was just like, wow, like just small little things like that. Like, what if she carried a notebook around and just wrote down things she was grateful for, or whatever. But you'll be surprised how much just having a notebook where you can jot down ideas and stuff that totally can transform your progress.
Yeah, your progress and your mindset. And that's something I mentioned, I forget what episode, it might have been the last one or the one before this. I mentioned the 5-minute journal. I did follow through on my word. I did order the 5-minute journal, and it got here quick. I mean, I live in Canada, so I always assume that international shipping is going to take forever. But I mean, it was here within days, maybe 3 days. So I don't even know how quick it'll go in the States. In any case, yeah, I've got it. It's actually quite nice. It's got a nice it's like feel to it.
Yeah. You're like, this is. I feel like we're looking at something in the Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever.
So you've got one too.
Like journal, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's nice, and not only that, it has it has like motivational quotes at the top, but it also has one caught me by surprise today. It was a line that said, this is a friend that I've been meaning to reconnect with, or X person is someone I've been meaning to reconnect with, and I should call today or something. And they show you the blank space to write in the person's name. And I was like, oh man, like who should I reconnect with? And I wrote it in, and I was like, you know what? I'll just invite them to my wedding. So I put him on the list, and I'm going to invite him to my wedding. And it's like, well, there you go. It probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that little journal. So anyway, I'm excited to see where it goes and what sort of shifts in mindset and in action it has me take or make or whatever the verb is there. So yeah, I'm excited for that little future. And
anything else?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, anything else about whiteboards?
I was going to say whiteboards that's one of my favorite topics right now, because I got one right next to me. There's something to be said about the tactile, like you said, writing down a notebook, but also the same thing applies to a whiteboard or sticky notes or something. I mean, my office is littered with sticky notes, and I'm such a strong believer in it. And actually, something that happened yesterday in our mastermind group, and Carter wasn't there for this, I was struggling with getting some stuff done with respect to recording some new videos. So I'm creating a new tutorial course around a new programming topic, and I've been having trouble sort of getting the work done and getting the videos recorded and so on and so forth. And then it dawned on me, I haven't set a goal for this stuff yet. I don't have a goal in my mind. Like, I don't have an end date. I don't have a deadline for when I want to create this course by. So of course it's kind of like, I'm kind of floating around and like, oh, whatever. There's no fire under my butt to do this stuff. And apparently when you don't have that fire, you don't get the work done. So how does this relate back to whiteboards, you might ask? Well, whiteboards, when I set a goal, I track it, and I do it on my whiteboard. So now I've set the goal to have 8 videos recorded every week. That's 2 a day, except for Thursdays where I do the Coder Startup. So maybe I'll just do 1 that week, but 8 a week, so more or less 2 a day, and I have it on my whiteboard. I track it on the whiteboard, and I can see that slope, that 1 degree or 1/1 slope if I'm below it or above it, and that just helps fire me up and say, oh no, I can visually see, and it's taunting me on my whiteboard saying, oh, I'm not done yet. I'm not. And for me, that's very motivating. I don't know if that's motivating for you guys, but for me it is. So
it goes back to there's so many studies that are proven over and over, when you write down your goals, you're X amount more likely to actually achieve them.
Isn't that incredible?
It is. And it's such a simple task. And, I'm completely like you. There's a lot of times where I have this goal and I'm like, have I written it down? No. Why haven't I? I don't know. And, and things start happening when you write it down. And I love the technique you use where it's front and center of your workstation. Because then it is just there. It is a constant reminder. This is a priority. And it's extremely, extremely powerful. And, I used to, I don't think I had whiteboards until I moved out here. Yes, I did. I had a couple when I lived in Cincinnati. But go out, spend the $50, whatever it is, because I promise you, it helps so much to problem solve or just jot notes down, whatever. It's great. And now I have more whiteboards than I can count. They're all around me. And my next office that, when I move, I'm going to literally make the walls whiteboard. Like that's
what I think. That's what Google had when I went in to interview with them. They had the entire wall was a whiteboard, and not just a wall. I think it was the entire room, or at least 2 sides of the room was a whiteboard. And I was like, oh my god, I'm in heaven right now. So cool.
And they have that paint now. You can get the paint where you just paint a whole wall whiteboards. The whiteboard material. It's really, really cool. Very expensive. I think it's like $60 a gallon. And you want to make sure you coat it right, because I know people who've kind of left it thin and you can see like the traces of previous writings. But yeah, make sure you
That's
do it
really
right.
interesting.
Yeah,
I've never thought of that. I mean, that might be cheaper than buying like a gigantic whiteboard or demolishing your wall and building again out of whiteboard material. I don't know.
I had friends in college. They actually painted the refrigerator in the beer room with the whiteboard so they could keep track of beer pong and stuff on the fridge. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea.
That's not bad.
All sorts of uses for you. Just
There
make
you
sure you have a whiteboard and you're jotting stuff down in your notebook.
Beautiful. So that's number 6 or 7, and we can end things off with possibly the most powerful thing that has happened to me of late, which is number 7 now, which is split testing your prices. Now have we talked about split testing yet in depth on the podcast? I
know we've mentioned it before. I don't know if we've talked about a lot of the different things you can do, what you should split test, which let's make a note. I'll make it right here.
We should definitely do a show on just split testing, because I mean, this helps in all aspects of your business. But the one I'm talking about specifically, thank you for writing that down, Carter. The one I'm talking about specifically is split testing your prices. Now, this is a topic that some people might be a bit nervous about, because it's like, well, if I'm
nervous, I'll raise my hand and say it.
You're nervous, right?
I hate pricing stuff. You know this. This. I hate pricing. Pricing's not my thing. But
yeah. Now pricing, I think the topic of being unsure about what to charge is completely solved by split testing, because then there's no thinking about it. It's just, let me start with a ballpark and just start creating prices above it and below it and see how it goes. But I think the hesitation people may have is around the visibility of it, in that if they have a friend or something who signs up and they paid a different price, then they might realize that they paid 2 different prices and say, well, what the heck is going on here? And they might, reach out and complain or something. But I can honestly say, I've been split testing my prices. You don't have to do it for very long. I've been doing it for 3 months. I think I already have a very strong feeling of what the winner is in terms of my pricing. And I could probably call it after 2 months, but I set myself, I said I would stick to it and go for 3 months. So that's what I'm doing. But I mean, you don't have to do it forever. It doesn't have to be forever and ever. So the window of opportunity for 2 people who just may happen to know each other and cross paths and just may happen to have also purchased your product as well, then, that window shrinks. So there's less chance of it happening. But in the 2 months that I've been doing this, and I mean, I have thousands of people who are going through this exact thing right now, seeing these different prices, even emailing me, asking me, talking to me about the prices, et cetera, et cetera. Not once have I had a single person say, what the heck? How come it's this price here and that price? It's never happened once. So,
and if you did, you could just simply say, oh, we're testing prices here. Let me give you the other one.
Yeah, that's it.
The data that you're getting is so much valuable and worth so much more than the $50, $100, $200 difference that you're offering. So yeah,
it's huge. And I can say now with real valid scientifically proven data points and metrics that I have a winner in my pricing. So I'll tell you my pricing. I charge anywhere from $147 to $997 for my course. That's my full Java course. I have 4 different price points that I'm testing. I'll just round up to the nearest whole number to make it easy, or even number, whatever. I charge $150, $400, $500, and $1,000. That's what I charge. And previously I was charging $150 before I did split testing. So I started with $150. And the reason why I got to that number was because I used to charge monthly. And like I said, I think I said this before, my most expensive plan was $50 a month. Typically my customers stayed on for 3 months. So typically I would get $150 out of the most, the best customer that could join my program. My lowest price was $5 a month. So the worst I would get which would really just be $5. But, if you multiply by 3 months, then it's $15. But I said, you know what? I don't want to charge $15 for the whole thing. I'm going to charge the most expensive price and allow them to sign up for life. So it wasn't going to be a monthly thing anymore. I didn't want to deal with people canceling and asking to cancel and this and that. And so I just thought I'll make it a lifetime thing. And I set the price at $150 and left it there. But then I said, hold on a second. Maybe I should be charging more for this course. I don't know. Let me start split testing my prices. So $150 400, 500, 1,000. Right now, after 2 months of testing and I don't know, 100 data points and multiple thousands of people going through the funnel, I can now see that of the total amount of money that I've made, the total revenue that I've made across the 3 months that I've been, or 2 months that I've been split testing my prices for, 50%, half of the total amount of revenue has come from one price point, and that is the $500 price point.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if I made, $10,000, $5,000 came from the one price point. The next runner up was the $400 price point, and that was at like 20% of the revenue. So it's such a huge difference. And then it's like, then it's the $150 price point, which is coming in at, I don't know, whatever, it was like 15%. And then the rest was the $1,000, which was apparently too expensive. But I mean, there it is. There's the data. I know now with almost absolute certainty that the $500 price point is the best one. That's going to bring in the most revenue for me. And not only that, it's going to bring in less customers, which some people, may or may not like that. For me, I like that because the less customers I have means the less headaches I'm going to have. So
you can offer better service too, better customer service when they
absolutely
help. You can, yeah, totally.
So what an incredible discovery I have made for myself and my business. And I mean, I'm almost excited to say, well, hold on a second. Maybe starting next month, once I've done my 3 months and I've committed to it and I've seen it through, which is actually going to be May 20th is when it officially ends. Hopefully it's warmer here by May 20th. We have snow on the ground right now. So once it gets there, then maybe I'll split test again around the $500 price point. I've already done 400. I know the price point there and what I'm going to get. I know that that's not a good one. So I'm going to go higher. I'm going to do 500, maybe 550, 600, 650, 700. I don't know.
Split test, upsells and everything else. I mean, add-ons,
Oh yeah, for sure. We need to be doing that as well that's a given.
Always be testing, right?
Always be testing. So for me, split testing the prices, if I didn't do it and I just stuck at the $150 price point, again, the difference in revenue has been from 15% of the revenue, total revenue, to 50% of the total revenue. So that's, what is that, multiplied by over 3 times, right? Mm-hmm. So my revenue has grown over 300% just by charging a different price.
Fantastic.
And I've heard this before. I've heard this from so many people around the entrepreneur circles. I'm always hearing this: double your prices, double your prices, double your prices, because it works. And I always was hesitant to actually do it, and I did it, and I'm so happy that I did it because it's true.
And I was talking to someone, and they really helped me with this because this has always been an issue of mine. Like, I discount the value of what I hold in my head or what I can create, and we all do that. And someone explained it to me. They were like, you have infinite access to Carter Johnson. So it's not a novelty. It's not something truly special. But the fact of the matter is there are tons and tons of people out there who don't have that knowledge that you can literally, do something and save years of time for them or create, mountains of profit for them. So it's one of those things with pricing. So often we look at it and we're like, well, this is, it's easy to me, so it's not as valuable as what it could be.
Yeah.
But that's not true. So keep working on the pricing. But I think, the bigger lesson there is just always be testing and start with the pricing, because that's a huge, huge thing that, man, it's been amazing for you. So
absolutely. Great. I'm so excited. And I mean, right now I'm almost, the war I have in my own mind is, I'm leaving money on the table right now, because while I'm split testing, I created a little algorithm inside of the way that when people sign up for my email list, it chooses which plan to put them on, so which price point to hit them with. And I've changed it in such a way that 50% of the time they're going to be assigned to the $500 price point. And whatever it is, 20% of the time they'll be assigned to 400, 15% of the time they'll be assigned to 150, and then the remainder of the time they're assigned to the $1,000 price point. But having said that, right now, I'm at war with myself because it's like, well, all the people that are being assigned the 150, the 400, and the $1,000 price point, I mean, I'm potentially losing money on those sales because I know that the majority of the sales will be from the $500 price point.
I know.
So it's like, I should be changing it so that it's just all going to the $500 price point. So
personally, I think you have enough data to do it.
Yeah.
I think you do, man. It's not like, well, look at it from this perspective. When you started this experiment, you didn't have as many cells in the
True.
system. You know what I mean?
True.
So you equate it to what, the same amount of cells over a 3-month period before would be. And I think you surpassed that amount already in data points. So
yeah, I should really probably stop it. It's just because I set the goal. I set the, this in my head to say, whatever happens, I'm going to test for 3 months, and this is exactly what's happening. I'm being challenged with my own, mindset, because now something's happening and I want to stop. But anyway, there you go. Yeah. The most important thing to learn for you guys is just, split testing. And I think we'll do a whole show on split testing and what tools to use and resources and how I went about doing it, and so on and so forth. So you guys can learn something from that. Maybe we'll do it next week. So there you go. That was to sort of wrap things up. The top 7 things that Carter and I wish we had known before we started as entrepreneurs. To recap all that list, number 1 came in as building an autoresponder with a purpose. So knowing ahead of time what the goal is, what the call to action is, what you want the users to do once they go through your autoresponder. Have that goal in mind and make sure you're building towards that goal. Number 2 is templates. Making sure that you are making use of stuff that's out there already, right? You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on a web designer, because you probably can already get templates built into WordPress or what other big ones that, anyway, it doesn't matter. Definitely, although if you're already a coder, you might be tempted to, if you have design experience, you might be tempted to build it yourself. And that's where number 3 comes in. You're reinventing the wheel. I don't know if it's a good idea for you to go and build out your own perfectly designed, custom tailored website. I honestly think if you have the skill set, you might be wasting time doing it yourself, because you can just spend 20, 30, 40 bucks to get, a very, very nice template and a very nice, working piece of software that will do what it is you need it to do. So it might not be worth spending the time.
I'm not even going to entertain it. It's there not. You go. Adam Smith economics, like basic economics.
That's number 3. That's number 2. Number 3 is don't reinvent the wheel, which is exactly what I had done. Don't do it. Reinventing the wheel, bad. Number 4 was copying the best. So look for the people in the market who've done it before, who have experience at it. Pick their brains, call them up, have conversations with them, find their blogs, find them on YouTube, whatever. Learn, and execute on it. That's obviously the most important part. 2 parts execution, 1 part learning is the route to success. Number 5 is focus. Make sure you stay focused on what it is that's bringing in the cash. If the cash is your goal, focus on that. Whatever your goal is, whatever it is that's bringing you closer towards achieving that goal, focus on what it is that is working, and do not get sidetracked by the pretty, flashy, whatever. Shiny object syndrome. I know I've done it twice now and paid the price for it twice, so don't do it. What is it? Number 6 now is having a whiteboard and notepad. Constantly taking notes.
We skipped focus.
I just said focus, didn't I?
Oh, did you? I don't know. Wait, keep going. Whiteboard and notebook.
Whiteboard, notepad, always good to write down your stuff and to make sure that you are constantly taking what's in your brain and writing it down, whether it be a goal, whether it be an idea, what have you. Something powerful happens when you write it down. The tactile pen to paper, or whiteboard pen to the whiteboard or to the wall, what have you. Just do it. So often I detracted from it and fought it, that I did not want to write it down. I did not want to set goals. I did not want to do this and that and the other thing. And I just paid the price for it. I was the one who suffered. So take it from someone who suffered and just make it happen. Write it down. And finally, we come with split testing. We just finished talking about that, so I don't have to go into that. But split testing is a huge part of your business, and you should absolutely be doing it. And we'll talk more about it, I believe, next week. So there's the sum up of the episode. Is there anything else you want to add to that before we finish things off there, Carter?
I don't think so. I might have an exciting announcement next week. Stay tuned.
Very good. I look forward to hearing that. So that's a little bait for next week for getting you to listen. Exciting announcement. So very good. We'll wrap up this episode. This has been episode number 28. You can get all the show notes and goodies and details and links to all the things that we mentioned via codersstartup.com/28. And I will also encourage you to go over to mcarterjohnston.com, because he has updated it recently.
I'm always updating that thing up, man.
Always updating. No, I didn't do it. Very good. Get your butts over there. Check it out. He's always good to pick his brain. He can be one of the ones that you copy from, where you copy the best in point number 5 or 4, or whatever it was. So get your butts over there and enjoy it. So there we go. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully you're kicking butt in your business, and I look forward to hearing you, hopefully, inside of the comment section of thecodersstartup.com/28. Take care. Bye for now.
See ya.